Oh, it's time. Time to get radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Radical Comment of the Week for September 27th through October 3rd, 2021. These are the very best comments from that time period. Starting out with the honorable mentions, we got Logi, Lassie, Kinowin81, and Sneaky V. The bronze medal comes to us from Retro Respawn. You have a keen passion for criticizing how money is exchanged on the internet, which is laudable, but in many cases utterly misguided. Here, as with most Patreon tiers, the terms are clear and open, as evidenced by you reading them off Top Hat's Patreon page. No hidden agendas here. You haven't uncovered some hidden conspiracy or dastardly plan. You read a public page made by the creator himself. What I would love to see you exert your energies on are the people who weaponize their often completely fabricated circumstances for sympathy, such as apparent poverty, illness, or hardship, to finesse well-meaning idiots into setting up crowdfunding campaigns to buy them things they clearly mope about wishing for. Time and again, I see folks on Twitter who bemoan their lack of console or expensive accessories, usually people with the means to help themselves but absolutely no will to do so, becoming the focus of yet another GoFundMe by people all too desperate to show to the community just how thoughtful and generous they are, all because they present themselves as helpless and deprived individuals when they're anything but. Let's not forget Mr. Japan, a con man on a monumental scale who went to great lengths to pose as a British man living in Japan who rescued stray cats. People threw money at him left and right. It was eventually revealed to be all lies. Of course, these payments are not compulsory either. You definitely have the ability to say no. However, the driving factor behind why people pour money into these is because if you don't, you look like you don't care. Who could possibly refuse poor dying Japanese street cats a few quid, for instance? A deft combination of peer pressure and moral certitude works wonders in generating huge wads of cash. It would be great to see you sink your teeth into those matters and these sorts of people who are all too common these days. It's not just MGR with his leaking roof, but no, someone with a Patreon that clearly sets out the rewards, which people have zero obligation to buy. That's the real villain here. Well, you bring up villain or villainizing, which is interesting because, like, I have never personally said that this is a villain. In fact, in the video you're referencing, where I go over the idiot tiers, that's interchangeable, So, I mean, I've done that from time to time. I just go over, like, tiers on Patreon, and I look at the channel, and I make a determination that it's pretty stupid to donate. And then I kind of like use that, and I weave that into, my critical satire and whatnot. But I get how some people could probably maybe read between lines and think that I would be referencing this person as a villain. I don't know. Like, you say I could spend more time on other people that are manipulating the system or, playing to sympathy. And the thing is, like, through the years, I've spent several amounts of time on all different kinds of classes of eBagger. People that accept donations online through Patreon for hobby videos. We've talked about Metal Jesus, we've talked about Camelot 3-1, we've talked about Wood Hawker. I don't equate all these people in one big old, like, bucket, Like, I would never, under any circumstances, try to frame Lady Decade or Top Hat Gaming Man on the same level of a Camelot 3-1 or, freaking Wood Hawker, beat 'em ups and everything. And one correction, MGR actually had the leaking basement. That was the scam. You're thinking of John Hancock. He had the leaking roof. But I get it. Sometimes people will come by and they say, I like these YouTubers. They're fair, they're transparent. Well, let me bring this up to you, Retro Respawn. Okay, in all fairness and transparency, are you a pal of, Lady Decade and Top Hat? In all fairness and transparency, how about you go and you ask them on that Patreon why they hide what they make on Patreon? If it's all fairness and transparency, then why not just kind of like there's an option there. So yeah, the thing is, I can start digging. I can get out my shovel and start digging and find things. And some people might say, "Hey, why don't you go here and why don't you go there?" Well, I would like to say that there's some kind of a agenda that I have, but I don't really have any agenda. It's literally just it's completely random. I don't know from one day to the next what I'm going to be commentating on, you know? The silver medal comes to us from Tosin Stardom. Tonight marks the matchup between the Penrith Panthers versus the South Sydney Rabbitohs in the NRL Grand Finale, and although I had purchased a ticket very late in proceedings, the government had to step in and reduce game admittance by 25%, leaving all those that purchased them late without a ticket. Although the grand final is traditionally played out in Sydney, the growing COVID situation has kept Sydney as well as Melbourne in secure lockdown over 20 to 21, shifting the majority of games played throughout the year in my state and territory, which has seen far less isolation periods and lower cases of infection. I don't really get out to the football that often anyway, but I did take my father out to see the South Sydney Rabbitohs play a week ago, where they won their spot into the final, and the atmosphere was electric. We saw a bunch of tries very clearly from our viewpoint, and were seated near a bunch of rowdy South Sydney fans that would yell and point in the direction of the opposing team's coaching box, which was right above us to the right, with many people giving that coach the middle finger every time his team fumbled the ball or got scored on by the Souths. Whenever I've sat down and watched a U.S. Super Bowl, there's always a built-in story regarding the coaches, who they are, and how they got there. So, there's a good level of talk directed at both coaches in his final, as Souths have the old man, Wayne Bennett, who's still coaching after 4 decades, while Penrith have a coach with a young son who's the main ball playmaker of the team. South Sydney is one of the oldest established teams in the league, and Russell Crowe is currently in ownership of that team, and usually have to bring this up during TV interviews and the like. Penrith finished second on the ladder after the season, and while South finished third, Penrith were runners-up in the grand finale last year and were favored to win. Look out for some fiery hit-ups by the forwards in the end-to-end ball passing from the backs, as both teams look for holes to appear and show advantage towards the opposing team's try line. Sometimes I wait for holes to appear also, and then I plow those holes. Just talking about my favorite hobby pastime. Well, this is the second best comment of that week, Tosin Stardom, but the problem is I do not know much about the teams and the game that you're talking about here. Now, I think it's kind of funny that people were, flipping off the opposing team there. That was interesting. And I hate that you got a ticket and you were not allowed to, get there because they reduced the admittance by 25%. I tell you, I do know a good bit about Russell Crowe, though. Russell Crowe was in Gladiator. Russell Crowe. Oh my God, it's Russell Crowe. That's a funny, and I think I left you this link. I can lead anything back to South Park. How Russell Crowe had a history with fighting. He made music and he made movies and he fought around the world. Russell Crowe, he is not in good shape. He has gained a whole lot of weight. Looks like 2 Russell Crowes. He definitely couldn't play in Gladiator again. He was in a very interesting movie. What was it called? It came out, was it this year, I believe, earlier in the year? I forget the name of it, but he played this psycho. And I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was a really good one. It was a very good one. Yeah, happens sometimes. I mean, I could try to attempt to reply to this, but there's just so many things here that I do not know about. Even some of the language brought up here. As an American, I don't understand a lot of these terms. So, yeah, there you go. The gold medal comes to us from the Winged Avenger. You're right about the big YouTubers following only what's popular. The guys who are praising the Switch used to ignore the Wii U, but their mistake was in their lack of interest for the Wii U, not into support for the Switch. I disagree with some of the other points that you and Simon made about the latter. It seems to me that the main reason so many people have preferences for Microsoft or Sony is that they haven't put much thought into comparing game libraries. Riddle me this: out of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, which is the best at creating games? To me, it's a no-brainer. Mario, Zelda, Fire Emblem, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Xenoblade, Golden Sun are Nintendo exclusive series. Nintendo was and still is the best developer in the world, better even than Namco, Capcom, Konami, Bethesda, Ubisoft. When you stick to a non-Nintendo system, you're denying yourself access to essential A-level titles, so you'll never have a great collection. If, on the other hand, you buy a Nintendo Switch, you'll be able to play the very best games of this generation. The greatest PlayStation and Xbox games have made it to the Switch, including The Witcher 3, as you pointed out. You expressed bewilderment as to why Cuphead's move to the Switch was treated as such a big deal. Well, the reason is that it's one of the very top games of this gen. Actually, it's even on the level of the best Mario and Contra titles of the 80s and 90s. Its addition to the Switch library contributed to making that system a sort of all-around gaming history console. The Switch allows you to play awesome arcade games from the late 70s to the late 90s, while also giving you the best modern console games. That's why it's important to have ports of old games and ports of the best Xbox and Sony games. The PS2 GTA games are coming now, as well as KOTOR and Panzer Dragoon 2. Now here's how to have a great collection. Get a PSP, which lets you emulate any console up to the 16-bit era plus the entire PS1 library. Then add a new 3DS and a Switch, and voila! You can now play all the best titles in video game history in the palm of your hand. I'm into portable gaming not because I want to play on a park bench or on a train, but because I like moving from my living room to the kitchen. That's why people play handhelds. I mean, 80 million people have the Switch, and in 4 years I've only seen one person playing it outside of a house. The Xbox One or PS4 would add nothing essential to your collection. Yes, there are some good action RPGs on the systems, but you're better off playing the Zelda games and Zelda clones on the Switch, such as Immortals and Kingdoms of Amalur. Yeah, Kingdoms of Amalur. I have that on a PC. That's a really underrated game. So yeah, you talked about how the problem was not in the support of the Switch, but not supporting the Wii U. Well, the Wii U, there's several reasons why it didn't get as much support, mainstream support. A lot of people point to how the Wii U, its title, a lot of people thought it was an add-on, to the Wii. Now, when it comes to game preferences, when it comes to top-notch AAA titles, no one can doubt that through the years, Nintendo has had a lot of stellar AAA games. Granted, a lot of them's not really my cup of tea, because even though they are stellar, a lot of them are very, cutesy in nature and targeted, to the younger subset of people. Not saying that there aren't some great games. In fact, one that I would probably pick up that has mass appeal, if I got a Switch, would be Super Smash Brothers. I talked about it the other day. I'm like, that is an amazing, roster there. Even if you're really not into that type of game there. Now you brought up Namco, Capcom, Konami, Bethesda. Okay, well, standouts from the generations, I would say the GTA games. You can right now play GTA 5, which is one of the biggest games released in the last 10 years. Heck, they keep re-releasing it. You can play GTA 5 on the PlayStation consoles, on the Xbox consoles. You can make a strong argument, if you can't play a game like that, which again is a huge game. What about Red Dead Redemption 2, Winged Avenger? You can't play that on the Nintendo Switch. There's a lot of games that are great that you can't play on the Nintendo Switch. But that being said, there's also a lot of games like Witcher 3 you can play on the Switch. There's always going to be people that come out and say, well, if you want to be a real gamer, you have to get this particular gaming console. But the fact of the matter is this: we are spoiled. If you get an Xbox One, if you get a PlayStation 4, or now, well, you can't get a PlayStation 5, you can't get the new Xboxes really, or if you get a Switch, then any of those choices are wonderful. And you have a lot of games you can play on those consoles. And, I can't think of any any console that would be coming out in the future, where if you got one, you definitely would need something else to really like. Oh yeah, the Amico. Yeah, probably that one. Is there any other console other than maybe the retro reimagined type stuff? But yeah, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. Nintendo seems to always, now they're getting better at it, but they always seem to have a weakness on the third-party support. Now they have robust third-party support, but their weakness has always really been on the tech. On the tech has been their weakness, and an over-reliance on maybe the gimmicks. Now, when the next Nintendo system comes out, you know what I hope, Winged Avenger? I hope it has the best of all the worlds. I hope it actually has some nice tech in there also. So, it can keep up with these, current games.